After I filed a noise complaint, my neighbor installed bright stadium lights facing my bedroom. I couldn't sleep for days. When I begged him to stop, he replied, "Darkness is where people like you hide." One morning I found my car windows etched with the words "You're next." But the real horror began when I noticed. I live in Spokane, Washington. Not a big city, not too small either. I've lived in the same two-bedroom house for 12 years. Quiet street, mostly older folks, a few families, nothing fancy. I'm 44, single, work from home doing IT support for small businesses. I'm not rich, but I pay my bills and like to keep to myself. I've always been someone who enjoys silence. That's probably why this whole thing hit me so hard. It started when a guy moved in next door. His name was Ben, at least, that's what he told everyone. He showed up early spring in a loud white pickup truck covered in bumper stickers. Some political, some just plain weird. He had a teenage son with him, maybe 16 or 17. The house had been empty for a few months before that. I was actually glad someone bought it. I figured maybe it would bring a little life back into the block. For the first week or so, I barely noticed him. We nodded once when we crossed paths near the mailbox. Then, everything changed. Out of nowhere, every afternoon after 5 p.m., I started hearing this horrible revving noise. At first I thought it was construction or something. But when I looked out my window, I saw it, Ben and his son ripping through the backyard on dirt bikes. No helmets, no protective gear, just going in circles on that patchy grass like it was some kind of race track. The sound wasn't just loud, it was shaking the walls. This went on every single day. Sometimes for an hour. Sometimes longer. I tried to ignore it. I wore headphones. I turned up music. But after 3 weeks of this, I hit my limit. I walked over one afternoon when they were taking a break. I stayed calm. "Hey man," I said. "I live right next door. I was wondering if you guys could cut it down a little in the evenings. The sound's kind of intense." He just stared at me. Didn't blink. Then he grinned. "Man's got a ride," he said, chewing on a toothpick. "You don't like it, you can move." I told him it wasn't about liking it, it was just hard to work and sleep with the noise. He stepped closer. I could smell oil and sweat on him. "Sound bothers you that much?" he said. I nodded. "Well, maybe the world's just not soft enough for people like you." That was the last thing he said before walking away. I didn't respond. I walked back to my house, heart pounding. I waited a few days. Thought maybe he'd cool off. But the noise didn't stop. If anything, it got worse. So I filed a noise complaint with the city. That's when everything turned dark. The city sent someone out. An officer. She talked to Ben. I saw them shaking hands. After she left, the bikes didn't come out for a few days. I thought maybe it worked. Then, one night just after 8 p.m., I saw something strange through my window. Blinding white light. I went outside and saw them. 4 huge stadium lights mounted on tripods in Ben's backyard. Each one aimed directly at my bedroom windows. It was so bright I could see every corner of my room like it was daytime. It didn't matter if I turned the lights off. It didn't matter if I closed the blinds. I might as well have been sleeping in a Walmart parking lot. I tried blackout curtains. They didn't help. I barely slept for 3 nights. By the 4th, I was desperate. I went to his door. Knocked once. He opened the door and leaned against the frame. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice already shaking. He looked me up and down, like he was sizing me up for a fight. "Please," I said. "I just want to sleep. The lights. Can you turn them away from the windows?" He leaned in, almost whispering. "Darkness is where people like you hide." Then he slammed the door. I called the police. They came by, said the lights weren't illegal, that he was allowed to have them on his property. They told me to work it out like neighbors. 2 days later, I walked out to go to the store and saw it. Etched into my car windows, front, side, and rear, were the words, "You're next." Etched. Not scratched. Acid burned into the glass. I called the cops again. They looked at it. Took some photos. Said there was no footage. No witnesses. They told me it might have been kids. I knew better. That night I ordered a full security camera system. I spent hours installing it around the house. I set up motion sensors. I installed an app on my phone to monitor it. And then things got worse. On my morning walk, just a few blocks from my house, I found a dead cat. Not hit by a car. Not roadkill. It was placed on the sidewalk like someone arranged it there. Its neck twisted in a way that didn't look natural. There was duct tape around its legs. I felt sick. I took a photo but didn't even bother calling anyone. I knew what they'd say. When I got home, I saw a note taped to my front door. It was printed on a sheet of paper. No handwriting. Just a message in bold type: "You should have kept your mouth shut, little man." The paper had some kind of oily residue on it. My fingers felt greasy after touching it. That night I barely slept. I kept refreshing the camera app. Every time a leaf blew past the sensors I thought it was him. The next morning I saw the side fence was cut. Not broken, cut. Like someone used bolt cutters. I repaired it. That night, my garbage cans were knocked over, and when I picked them up, I saw a bunch of roofing nails scattered inside. Every time I fixed something, he broke something else. One night, while going through the security footage, I saw it. 2:17 a.m. A man in a hoodie walked up to my front porch. Circled the car. Then walked to the door and leaned in. He took something from his pocket and stuck it near the doorknob. I couldn't see his face clearly. But then I saw it. His hand was missing the ring finger. Ben was missing the same finger. I brought the video to the cops. They said it wasn't enough. It could have been anyone. That's when I started digging. I looked up property records. Found his full name, Travis Benton. He lied about being Ben. That was just what he told neighbors. I searched the name and found something from California. A decade ago, a man named Travis Benton was arrested in Sacramento. Charges included assault, harassment, illegal possession of firearms. The case fell apart because of bad evidence handling. But the details were clear. He was violent, controlling, obsessive. And then he vanished. I printed every page I could find. Articles. Mugshots. Forum posts. I mailed them to the city, to the HOA, even the local paper. I hand-delivered a packet to the same officer who told me the lights weren't illegal. 2 days passed. Then everything exploded. Someone broke into my house. They didn't steal anything. They didn't break windows. Nothing looked damaged. Except there was one thing on my kitchen counter, a baby monitor. Plugged in. Turned on. Little green light glowing. I almost screamed. I ripped through the house looking for cameras, bugs, microphones, anything. I didn't sleep that night. I went to a motel. When I came back, the lights in his yard were gone. But my house smelled strange. Like burnt wires. I checked the fuse box. One of the main fuses had been melted. Not tripped. Melted. That same night, I checked the camera again. And there he was. Standing in his backyard. Just standing. At 3 a.m. Facing my window. Still as a statue. For 3 hours. No movement. No blinking. Just watching. That was the night I realized something wasn't right in his head. I posted everything online. On Reddit. The story. The photos. The videos. The mugshots. It blew up. People started digging. Some claimed he used to run with a militia group in Idaho. Others said he was kicked out of a prepper compound for threatening members. One person even messaged me saying he stalked their cousin years ago. But then I got an email. No subject. No message. Just an attachment. A photo. It was taken from inside my bedroom. It showed me sleeping. And that's when I knew this was way bigger than a noise complaint. I left that night. I drove 7 hours straight to my brother's place in Missoula. Filed for a restraining order the next morning. I hired a private investigator. Now I'm hunting the hunter. He thinks he scared me off. He doesn't know what's coming next. My brother Greg lives in a quiet part of Missoula, Montana. He's 6 years older than me, works in HVAC, no nonsense, and tougher than I'll ever be. I told him everything, showed him the footage, the emails, the court articles. At first, he didn't believe it could get that bad. But after he saw the bedroom photo, the one taken from inside my house, he changed. "You're not going back there," he said. "Not alone." We set up in his garage. Whiteboard, folders, USB drives, printed timelines. He treated it like a mission. Said if no one else would help, we'd figure it out ourselves. I gave everything to the private investigator I hired, a woman named Marnie Jacobs. Former police. Now she digs dirt for a living. 3 days later she called. "There's more," she said. "Way more." Travis Benton didn't just have a record. He had patterns. After the Sacramento incident, he drifted, Oregon, Utah, Idaho. Always rural towns. Always under different names. Always just enough charm to keep people off his back. But in every place someone disappeared, or left suddenly. A neighbor. A coworker. An ex. Marnie couldn't prove he killed anyone, but she found restraining orders, missing persons reports, and a file that made me go cold. A woman in Twin Falls, Idaho, filed a report against him in 2015. Said he installed hidden cameras in her house. She later dropped the charges after what the local paper called an undisclosed settlement. Then she moved. Vanished off the grid. We started contacting these people. Some didn't answer. One woman agreed to talk. Her name was April. She lived in a trailer park outside Boise. She was shaking when we met her in a diner. "He likes games," she said. "He wants you to react. The more scared you look, the more he does." She told us he used to leave pieces of her own clothing outside her front door, tied in knots. He left her dog's leash coiled like a noose once. She finally fled when she woke up and saw muddy footprints across her carpet, and lived alone. That's when Greg said something that chilled me. What if he's already done something worse, and no one noticed? Back in Spokane, things weren't quiet. Even though I was gone, neighbors told me strange things. One guy said Travis had a fire pit going almost every night now. One morning, a couple found their kid's bike in pieces across the street, burned black. Someone's fence was spray-painted with the word traitor. But the cops didn't tie anything to him. They never do unless someone's bleeding. That's when Greg made a decision. "We're going back," he said. "We're going to flush him out." I argued. I didn't want to be near that house again. But he wouldn't let it go. Said we'd rig my place with motion cameras, audio sensors, the works. He had a few buddies from his time in the Army Reserves who agreed to help. One of them, Ryan, was a drone hobbyist. Another, Dave, worked security systems for banks. We turned my house into a trap. Over 4 days, we installed 5 new cameras, 2 hidden inside birdhouses, 1 behind the TV in the living room, and 2 in the attic crawlspace, just in case he tried anything from above. The place was wired. We didn't tell anyone I was back. Greg parked my car in his garage. I borrowed his old truck and stayed inside the house, behind blackout blinds, watching feeds with noise-canceling headphones on. We caught him the first night. At 2:06 a.m., one of the attic cams picked up scratching. He was on the roof. We watched him crawl along the side, slowly lifting a vent. He had gloves, a headlamp, and a tool I couldn't name, some long, hooked thing. He was trying to get in again. I wanted to run outside. Greg held me back. "No. Let him go deeper. At 2 14 a.m., he lowered himself halfway into the attic. Then the trap was sprung. Motion sensors triggered the silent alert to Greg's phone. Floodlights in the attic lit up. A siren blared from a hidden speaker we placed near the crawl hatch. It wasn't a police siren. It was louder, deeper, almost inhuman. Travis panicked. He slipped backward, landed hard on the roof, and rolled down the slope like a sack of meat. He landed on my back porch, moaning. We caught all of it on 5 angles. But when we ran outside, he was already gone. No footprints. No blood. Nothing. The next morning, the cops finally showed interest. I handed over the footage. They said they'd look into it. They didn't arrest him. Just questioned him. He told them I was making it all up. Said I was obsessed with him. That I had cameras because I was stalking him. That's when I snapped. I released all the footage online. Every clip. Every note. The cat. The Etched car. The baby monitor. Even the old articles about Travis. It went viral. People started sharing their own stories. A woman from Oregon said he used to leave photos of her sister on her porch. A man in Utah swore Travis tried to poison his dog after a dispute over trash bins. Another guy claimed Travis used to run survivalist forums where he talked about cleansing soft people from his neighborhood. Then someone sent us something huge. A screenshot from a now-defunct website. Registered under one of Travis's old aliases. It was a blog. Full of cryptic ramblings about watching the Watchers, and how he neutralized threats through fear and purification. He used terms like cleansing by light. That's when I remembered what he told me. Darkness is where people like you hide. He meant it literally. He believed in using fear, sound, light, invasion, to punish people he saw as weak. We printed every post. Every screenshot. Sent them to the police. To a journalist we trusted. Then we got a message that changed everything. A burner email. No name. Just 3 words. He's not alone. The message included GPS coordinates. They led to a property outside Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. What we found there shook me. And it proved Travis was only the beginning. The GPS coordinates took us to a patch of land just past the Coeur d'Alene National Forest. Remote, off any paved road. You wouldn't even know it was there unless someone told you. Greg and I drove out there with Ryan and Dave. We brought cameras, burner phones, and gear to stay the night if we had to. At first, we thought it was abandoned. Just trees and silence. Then we saw the path, cleared out by a truck or ATV. We followed it for almost a mile before we reached the edge of a clearing. There was a cabin. Old, but not broken down. Metal roof. Smoke coming from the chimney. A few satellite dishes rigged on a pole. A faded wooden sign nailed to the front porch. Quiet is strength. We didn't get closer that night. We just circled the place, staying low, snapping photos. We saw something that froze us in place. A massive shed beside the cabin, chained shut with 3 padlocks. And a row of bright halogen lights on tripods lined up near the tree line. Same kind Travis had aimed at my house. That night, Ryan flew a drone over the property. From above, we saw 4 vehicles, 2 trucks, 1 Jeep, and a rusted van. Plates were removed or covered. We couldn't see inside the shed, but the back had what looked like a trapdoor. Possibly underground access. We drove back to Missoula at sunrise. Marnie did some digging. The property was purchased under an LLC tied to a Wyoming address. Totally legal. No red flags, on paper. But we found something in the drone footage. The Jeep had a military decal. Not an official one. Something custom. It matched a patch someone had posted on Reddit under a story about fringe paramilitary groups operating in Idaho. The group called themselves Light Doctrine. They weren't large. Maybe a dozen members, according to what little info existed. But they had a clear goal: to restore strength through fear, control, and exposure. Their motto was listed on old pages from forums that had since been wiped. The light burns weakness away. It clicked. The lights. The sound. The stalking. It wasn't random. It was a method. Travis wasn't just a lunatic. He was part of something. And I triggered him by standing up, by filing a complaint, by calling out noise, by trying to make him stop. I was weak. In his eyes. Greg wanted to burn the cabin down. Just take a few gas cans and erase the whole place. I told him no. I didn't want revenge that way. Not yet. I wanted to break them publicly. We handed everything over to a journalist from a small paper in Coeur d'Alene. A guy named Jace who'd been covering fringe groups for years. He said the light doctrine had gone quiet since around 2018. Said they weren't big, but they were dangerous. People who got in their way had accidents. We agreed to meet Jace the next night in person. But he never showed. Next morning, we got an email from his editor. Jace was missing. His car was found at a gas station just across the Idaho border. Doors unlocked. Phone smashed. Keys still in the ignition. Nothing stolen. No signs of struggle. But he was gone. Gone. That same night, Greg got a text from an unknown number. It just said, "The light is patient." We knew it was a warning. Ryan went full blackout. Deleted every social account, got rid of his drone, burned his external drives. He wanted out. Dave stayed. He was mad now. Said it wasn't just about me anymore. Then we noticed something on the footage from Spokane, old footage, before we'd gone to Missoula. One camera on the roof caught a brief image of something on Travis's wrist while he was on my property. A tattoo. It was half covered by his sleeve, but it matched one seen in a 2016 arrest photo of another Light Doctrine member, a spiral sun with a line through it. Almost looked like a compass. It was the group's mark. They branded themselves. Greg said he wouldn't wait anymore. We started working with Marnie and a few anonymous contacts from Reddit, people who dealt with fringe extremists before. We formed a plan. We weren't going to kill Travis. We were going to expose every one of them. But we needed proof they were still active. That they were coordinating. That they had a chain of command. So we baited them. We made it look like I went back to Spokane alone. Posted photos. Set up decoys. Let them think I was back, scared, vulnerable. Then we waited. And on the fourth night, they came back. Not just Travis. 3 men. One with a limp. One with a buzz cut and gloves. One bald big, with something hanging from his belt that looked like a wire cutter. They circled my house, talked in low voices. Thought no one could hear them. But we were listening. Inside the walls. Behind the outlets. Under the floorboards. Everything they said. Every word. Recorded. They weren't there to scare me this time. They were there to bury me. They moved like they'd done this before. The bald one took position near the back door. The one with the limp checked the side fence. The guy with the gloves, he climbed onto the roof. It was just past 2 a.m. Moonless sky. Quiet street. They thought I was sleeping inside. But we were ready. Greg was in the basement, watching the live camera feeds with Dave. I was parked 3 blocks away in Greg's truck with a remote laptop connected to the house system. Every inch of the property was covered by motion sensors and mics. I was shaking but focused. We'd been waiting for this. As soon as the bald guy cut power to the house, just like we knew he would, the backup battery kicked in, and all cameras stayed live. They didn't know we had a second system hidden in the detached garage running off solar. We waited until all 3 were in position. Then we hit them. Greg triggered the floodlights, every one of them. Front yard, backyard, attic, hallway. Blinding white beams. The same kind Travis had used against me, only 10 times worse. Lights so bright they washed out faces, made it impossible to see. They panicked. Stumbled. We watched the bald guy run into the side fence headfirst. Then came the sound. We had installed massive speakers in the attic and crawl space. Dave played back every sound they'd used to torment me. Dirt bikes, sirens, that deep inhuman alarm. But louder. On loop. Over and over. Travis's voice, clipped from my security audio, blared through the walls. Darkness is where people like you hide, man's gotta ride, the light burns weakness away. They couldn't tell where it was coming from. The guy on the roof slipped trying to cover his ears and fell hard into the backyard. Then Greg came out. He didn't yell. He didn't attack. He just walked out with a spotlight in one hand and a GoPro in the other. Smile, he said, aiming the light right at Travis, who was crouched in my side yard, frozen. That's when the police rolled in. 2 unmarked units. We'd been working with an officer who finally took us seriously after we showed him the Light Doctrine blog and the drone footage. He didn't promise arrests, but he promised backup when we had evidence. And now we had it. All of it. They caught all 3 men red-handed. Trespassing, tampering with electrical equipment, armed with tools, and wearing blackout clothing. One had zip ties. Another had a can of pepper spray and a printed floor plan of my house with red marks on the bedrooms. But the real nail in the coffin? The camera in my attic recorded the glove-wearing guy pulling out a USB drive and a bag of what looked like white powder. That pushed things from harassment to attempted criminal action real fast. They were arrested on the spot. Travis didn't say a word. He stared at me as they put him in the car. That same grin on his face. But the story wasn't over. The footage went online again. I uploaded it all. The break-in. The plans. The faces. The voice recordings. The pictures of the dead cat. The notes. The blog posts. I didn't hide anything. I named names. I published their group's symbols, shared their history, everything. Turns out there were more victims. A woman from Boise. A couple from Redding, California. A guy in Arizona. People who were too scared to speak before finally came forward. We started a class action lawsuit. Journalists ran the story nationally. A few of the Light Doctrine members were tracked down and arrested for older crimes. The Idaho cabin? Raided. Turns out there was a basement. Inside they found survival gear, fake IDs, surveillance equipment, even a wall of Polaroids showing houses and people from different cities. I was in 3 of the pictures. Travis was charged with multiple crimes: criminal conspiracy, stalking, attempted assault, and destruction of property. His 2 accomplices faced similar charges. The FBI got involved once the group was officially labeled a domestic extremist organization. And me? I didn't come out clean either. A part of me liked what we did to them that night. I liked turning their own tactics back on them. I liked watching fear crawl across their faces. I didn't sleep well for weeks. Not from fear. From the weight of it all. I realized I'd changed. I'd become colder. More watchful. I still flinch when I hear loud engines. I still double-check locks every night. But I also built something from it. I started a support group, online at first, then local. People dealing with targeted harassment. People failed by cops and courts. People who felt powerless. We help each other now. Greg stayed by my side through all of it. He said one thing that stuck with me. Sometimes darkness isn't something to be scared of. Sometimes it's where people heal. As for Travis, he's not smiling anymore. The last time I saw him was during the trial. He wouldn't look me in the eye. His lawyer tried to argue mental instability. The jury didn't buy it. They played every tape we had. Every note. Every message. He's serving 35 years. And if he ever gets out, I'll be waiting. In the dark. Quiet. Watching.